This is the enrichment we use for keeping our aquatic friends, the axolotls, happy and entertained. Hello, I'm Shafik, and I'm on a mission to uncover all the secrets that axolotl owners have been keeping hidden in their tanks. And one of those secrets pertains to DIY toys and enrichment, or as I like to call them, the unsung heroes of axolotl happiness. Now, as someone who spent more hours than I'd like to admit watching these adorable water puppies swim around, and occasionally regenerate a limb or two, I think I'm qualified to talk about this. So come with me into the fascinating world of axolotl enrichment and see how we can turn their tanks into underwater playgrounds. You know, when I first started keeping axolotls, the one thing that always puzzled me was how to keep these little guys entertained. I mean, have you ever tried entertaining a fish? It's not exactly like you can throw a ball for them to fetch. Now imagine trying to keep an axolotl stimulated without proper enrichment. Not a pretty picture. So I'd like to talk about these DIY toys and enrichment items. They're the axolotl's first and only line of defense against boredom in their watery world. That's more important than you might think. Trust me, a bored axolotl is like me without my morning coffee. Not a pretty sight. How do we keep them engaged? Actually, enrichment items are like the axolotl's personal playground, standing between them and a very dull existence. Today, I'm going to share some of my favorite DIY axolotl toys and enrichment ideas. Because, as it turns out, not all enrichment is created equal. It's like comparing a child's plastic tea set to a fully equipped chef's kitchen. They both entertain, but they do it in very different ways. I'm going to show you something. Look at this. You may find that axolotls and other aquarium inhabitants might look similar. They both swim. They both eat, hopefully not each other, but their approach to entertainment is quite different. How? Axolotls, being the unique creatures they are, require specific types of enrichment. Think of it like creating a playground for a child who has gills and can regrow limbs. It's a bit more complicated than your average swing set. Instead of typical fish toys, axolotls benefit from items that cater to their natural behaviors. They love to explore, hide, and interact with their environment. It's like creating an underwater obstacle course for these little adventurers. They are the superheroes of the aquatic world, always ready for the next challenge. But why the need for DIY? Well, it comes down to the specific needs of axolotls and the lack of commercially available options. Let me show you. Pet stores are filled with toys for dogs, cats, and even some fish. But axolotl-specific items? Not so much. They're like the forgotten stepchildren of the pet world when it comes to toys. So we axolotl enthusiasts have to get creative. While some might be content with a bare tank and a few plants, we know that our axolotls deserve more. And that means investing time and effort in creating enrichment items that can withstand the aquatic environment and are safe for our smiley friends. It's like building a waterproof playhouse that won't dissolve or harm its inhabitants. Not that I've ever tried to build a waterproof playhouse more than twice in a year. Now, let's get into the nitty-gritty of DIY axolotl enrichment. Don't worry, I'll keep the jargon to a minimum. I promise not to throw around words like environmental enrichment protocols more than absolutely necessary. Oh wait, I just did. Well, since it's out there, let's learn more. One of the simplest and most effective enrichment items you can make is a PVC pipe hideout. This isn't just any old pipe, mind you. We're talking about a carefully selected, aquarium-safe PVC pipe that's been thoroughly cleaned and prepared for aquatic use. It's like creating a secret tunnel system for your axolotl to explore. Each time they swim through it, they're on a new adventure, at least in their little axolotl minds. Another great DIY item is a floating log. Now, before you go chopping down trees in your backyard, let me explain. We're talking about creating a floating structure using aquarium-safe materials like cork bark or specially treated driftwood. It's more like the axolotl is lounging on a luxury yacht than an actual log. Think of it as the penthouse suite of the axolotl world, a place to rest and survey their watery kingdom. But how do these enrichment items actually work? When an axolotl interacts with these toys, it stimulates their natural behaviors. The hideouts satisfy their instinct to seek shelter, while the floating items encourage exploration and provide a change of scenery. It's like when I rearrange my living room furniture, suddenly everything feels new and exciting, except for axolotls, it's their entire world being refreshed. Non-traditional enrichment items like aquarium-safe mirrors can also be fascinating for axolotls. When I first introduced a mirror to my axolotl tank, I felt like I was watching a toddler discover their reflection for the first time. They're the curious cats of the underwater world, always intrigued by their own image. This variety in enrichment reflects a broader understanding of axolotl behavior and needs. How did it develop? Back in the early days of axolotl keeping, we didn't have the luxury of specialized knowledge about their enrichment needs. People kept them in simple tanks with maybe a plant or two because, well, that's what we thought was enough. And they survived, but we've learned that they can thrive with proper enrichment. Then came the era of more naturalistic setups. Anyone remember those elaborate aquascapes with carefully placed rocks and driftwood? Fun times. I learned that while beautiful, these setups weren't always practical or safe for axolotls. Not ideal when you're trying to create a stimulating yet safe environment for these delicate creatures. Now, with the push towards species-specific care, axolotl keepers are innovating with custom enrichment items. It's a nod to how far we've come from the days when we just plop an axolotl in a bad tank and hope for the best, to now when we're crafting intricate environments tailored to their unique needs. But don't forget the historical context. When I first started keeping axolotls, I found that the evolution of axolotl care has been a journey of trial, error, and occasionally some very confused axolotls. The early days of axolotl keeping were much like the early days of any pet care. We did our best with the knowledge we had. They say hindsight is 20/20, or maybe we just didn't want our axolotls to live in the equivalent of an underwater prison cell. The shift towards more enriched environments was a huge leap forward, albeit with its own set of challenges. The occasional mishap with an unsuitable toy or decoration was a stark reminder of how critical proper enrichment is. It's not just about making the tank look pretty, it's about creating a stimulating and safe environment. Today, we're standing on the shoulders of giants who probably got a bit wet along the way. The advancements in axolotl care have allowed us to dream bigger, to consider more complex and engaging setups. Because if you think keeping a fish tank is challenging, wait until you try creating an underwater playground for a creature that can regrow its brain. Spoiler alert, it's actually more rewarding than you might think, but let's not get bogged down in details. So what's the takeaway from all this? DIY axolotl toys and enrichment are more than just fancy tank decorations. They're vital components that have evolved significantly over the years. The various DIY options highlight the creative approaches axolotl keepers take to solve the same stimulating problem. Whether it's a simple PVC pipe hideout or an elaborate floating structure, what's important is that these enrichment items keep our axolotls engaged and healthy. And maybe, just maybe, they'll let us feel like we're providing a 5-star resort experience for our aquatic friends. Imagine trying to explain to your non-axolotl keeping friends why you spend hours crafting tiny underwater caves. But I think after seeing how happy it makes the axolotls, I would be really excited to show off my DIY creations and say, look what I made for my little water dragons. Well, that's it for this video. Let me know in the comments below what you think about these DIY axolotl toys and enrichment ideas. Have you ever thought about what it takes to keep an axolotl mentally stimulated? Or maybe you have a favorite DIY enrichment item you've created. No judgment here. If you enjoyed this deep dive into the world of axolotl care, be sure to subscribe to my channel so you don't miss out on any aquatic adventures. Big thanks to my patrons for literally making this video happen. If you'd like to support the channel, help me keep exploring the fascinating world of axolotl care. Until next time, keep those gills wet, and remember, always enrich your axolotl's environment. Goodbye.